What's good, gang? We are back for another Labyrinth / UFC breakdown production. You know what it is. It's the last pay-per-view of the year. This is the full card prediction with your boy Big Ear right here. I'm trying to bounce back after a disappointing last couple of cards. This is the perfect 12-fight banger to do just that. We jumping right into it. First fight up, Cam Simon versus Steven Kozlov. Cam Simon is a well-rounded, bright young prospect. He's a good kickboxer on the feet, and the opponent, Steven Kozlov, from what I could tell, is a grappler who definitely isn't going to want to spend too much time striking with Simon. Cam Simon needs to fend off the takedown attempts of Kozlov, keep this fight upright, and he'll be alright. Give me Cam Simon. Alright, up next we got TJ Brown versus Eric Silva. TJ Brown is a scrappy kid who likes to strike. He can wrestle a little bit. He's got solid entries on his takedowns, but what he really likes to do is knock people out. He'll have the crisper boxing of the two here, and he features a nasty high kick. The opponent, Eric Silva, is a strong grappler who also has decent stand-up. Silva's light on the feet, and he likes to crash space and land power punches before ducking under to take you for a ride so he can get to his game on the mat. He wants to get you down, get your back, slap on the choke quickly. If TJ would just focus on his takedown defense and keep it standing with Eric Silva here, he should be able to get this one done, but problem is I can't trust TJ Brown to stick to any specific game plan because his fight IQ is just not reliable enough. I have a feeling he'll end up testing the waters on the ground with Silva, and I think he's going to likely get caught up because of it. I'll take Eric Silva to find the submission in his debut. Give me Silva. Good fight up, Alexander Hernandez versus Billy Quarantillo. Alexander Hernandez is an ambidextrous striker with a very nasty switch stance straight left. He has decent footwork and timing. Hernandez is light on the feet. He's got a good jab, nice feints, and big power in his hands. He likes to explode to the target with straight shots and then get back out of range from the counter. Alexander is a strong wrestler too with solid grappling, so he can take the guy down if things aren't going his way in the striking. The opponent, Billy Quarantillo, doesn't quite have as good a footwork as Hernandez, but he also has a beautiful jab and he can take a good shot. Quarantillo is a scrappy guy who likes to keep a high pace. He always wants a dogfight, and he has effective dirty boxing from the clinch. Billy's a grappler at heart though, and what he'd really like to do is take you down and look to secure a choke. He scrambles very well, and he has a nice front headlock series. This fight comes down to the movement and technique of Hernandez against the chaotic pace and heart of Quarantillo. If this fight is boring and pretty, Hernandez is probably going to be having his way. Once it gets uglier and more hectic, Billy is likely going to be starting to take over. I'm going to side with a little bit slower paced fight where Hernandez can get the action corralled and win that way. That's just a gut feeling though. I could see either scenario here, but I got Alexander Hernandez being a little more well-rounded and having a more buttoned-up game plan for this first cut to 145. Give me Hernandez. Potential banger right here. Chris Curtis versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm expecting fireworks in this matchup, man. Chris Curtis, they call him the action man because the guy always seems to find himself in a war zone, and I think this will be no different. He's a well-rounded old dog who's been around for a long time, so he'll definitely have a big experience advantage here. Curtis likes to strike. He has good footwork, fast hands, and solid fundamentals standing. He's also a great wrestler who usually looks to use it in reverse to keep fights up on the feet where he wants to take guys out with hard shots. Joaquin Buckley on the other side is a guy who's from my neck of the woods, so I know he can wrestle. We've seen him wrestle strikers in the UFC to get the victory before. Problem is, his ego gets the best of him at times, guys. He's got huge power in his hands that he's fallen in love with, and very creative, dynamic striking that has gotten him some of the best highlight reel KOs of anyone in the sport. Now, if Buckley gets too happy with the striking against Curtis, yes, he could add Curtis to that highlight reel, but it could also leave him vulnerable. Anytime you're fighting a guy who is as dangerous as Chris Curtis is, you never want to leave yourself vulnerable like that. Buckley should look to take Curtis down where he can score more safely than trying to do his damage by trading with him. The fact that he doesn't do that very much, though, I think is going to be a problem for Buckley. Buckley swings way too wide with his power shots on the feet, and I see Curtis shooting straight down the pipe to catch him and take him out. Give me Chris Curtis. Up next is Edmen Shahbazyan versus Dolce Lungiambula. Edmen Shahbazyan was a hot young prospect when he first broke onto the scene, and he's actually still very young. He'll have about a 10-year youth advantage in this fight. Thing is, I don't know what's happened to Edmen Shahbazyan in his last couple of fights. Ever since he completely fell apart against Brunson, he has been standing way too stationary in front of his opponents. And I don't know if it's because he's worried about gassing out late again or what, but he certainly needs to address the problem and get it fixed for this one, as he's taking on a guy you definitely don't want to be standing idly in front of, because Dolce Lungiambula hits way too hard to be doing that. Now, Edmen Shahbazyan is a good technical stand-up striker who has excellent timing, technique, and he normally displays decent footwork and movement on the feet. He's going to want to get back to that because the opponent, Dolce Lungiambula, is a little battle tank. Dolce's a flat-footed power puncher who's built like a brick outhouse. If you get caught with one of his big shots, I don't care who you are, you're going to be in a bad way. Technique-wise, this shouldn't be a hard challenge for Shahbazyan, but if he stands in front of Dolce or chooses to brawl with him for whatever reason, he's got big problems, man. Edmen Shahbazyan has taken a year off, so hopefully he's taking the time to fix the issues, because I'm picking him here. He's about 6 inches taller than Dolce, so he should be able to set up a nice head kick here. Give me Edmen Shahbazyan by stoppage. Next contest is Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Chris Daukaus, and this is a very simple fight for me to think about how it's going to go. I always pick the guy who is better at what the opponent likes to do, and Rozenstruik is just plain better at striking than Chris Daukaus. There's no way I'm picking Chris Daukaus here when it's so obvious that he needs the takedown. I mean, guys, I don't think I've ever even seen Chris Daukaus attempt a takedown in the UFC. That's going to be a big problem for him here. Unless Daukaus can show us something that he's never shown before, this is going to be Jairzinho Rozenstruik's fight to lose. I wouldn't go too heavy on it just because it's heavyweights who both have knockout power, but I honestly think Chris Daukaus needs a miracle to win this fight. He has a bad habit of dropping his left hand when he throws the right. It got him knocked out against Blades, and I think it's going to get him in trouble here as well. Give me Rozenstruik by knockout. Prelim headliner will be Jay Perrin versus Raul Rosas Jr. And how about Rosas Jr.? Kid will be making his UFC debut as the youngest fighter ever in the history of the organization at age 18. I mean, that's just incredible, and I actually think he deserves to be here. Raul's a grappling prodigy. He's green in the stand-up, not much power in his shots, and he's somewhat flat-footed and awkward. But if he takes you down, look out. He's truly a phenom on the ground. I saw him on the back of his last opponent, and he literally got to a body triangle while looking for a standing rear naked choke and falling over the top. I mean, I haven't seen dexterity like that since BJ Penn was in his prime. The opponent, Jay Perrin, is a tough boxer with solid wrestling to go along with his nice hands and outstanding cardio. Perrin's a dog. The guy never gives up on himself, and he's difficult to put away. He's got good footwork, an iron chin, and he's got a quick left hook that's pretty sneaky. Now, Raul Rosas Jr. is a pretty good-sized favorite in this spot, and I know a lot of people are thinking this is a smash play for him right here, but I've been known to call a nice underdog or two from time to time. I called Michael Johnson last week, and I'm looking to call another big dog this time. I think some of the takedown attempts that didn't land for Perrin in his last fight could end up scoring here. He's just got to be careful and really settle himself on top of Raul if he does get him down, because though he's unpolished, Raul's a very high-level scrambler, and you don't want to get swept and wind up with that kid and mount on you. But I think Jay can handle it. Give me Perrin in an upset. Up next, we got what I believe is the most intriguing fight of the whole card right here, Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. I love a high-level grappling matchup, and this is one of the best grapplers' delights you could ask for. Bryce Mitchell is the tough, country-strong Arkansas native with fantastic BJJ and improving striking. Bryce is a seasoned veteran of the featherweight division now, and he has really upped his game as he's entering into his physical prime. His elite submission skills on the ground can take him far, but it's really the strength of his mind that makes him the high character fighter that he is. He's not going to wow anybody with his general intelligence by any means, but his cognitive acuity in a fight and his belief in himself is second to none. His opponent, Ilia Topuria, is a hungry young undefeated prospect with great all-around skills. Topuria has got a solid wrestling base, excellent striking, both standing and on the ground with his ground and pound, and he's got devastating power if he connects with his hands. This fight, I've been back and forth on. I had been leaning Topuria, but the more I think about it, you know what? This is a live betting spot for Bryce. I think Topuria is a front runner. I think he'll get out ahead of Mitchell early here, but I also think he's going to need to finish Bryce early as well, since his cardio isn't as good. I think that's going to end up being easier said than done to put away a tough sumbitch like Bryce Mitchell, and I see Bryce taking over this fight late. The question is, will Topuria have done enough to that point to have won the first 2 rounds? I'm going to say no. Give me Bryce Mitchell by decision. Hell of a matchup up next. Darren Till versus Dricus du Plessis. Darren Till's coming back after a long layoff. He's an outstanding Muay Thai striker who possesses one of the best counter left hands in the game. Till is light on his feet, has nasty elbows in the clinch, and he seems to have a much more calculated approach to his stand-up since moving up to 185. The opponent, Dricus du Plessis, is an absolute wild card inside a steel cage. He's a powerhouse of a stand-up striker with a solid base in kickboxing. Du Plessis, he isn't much in the way of technique on the feet, but he makes up for it with the crazy power in his hands and relentless pressure. Now, in his last fight, he learned a valuable lesson of energy conservation when you can't take a guy out early against Brad Tavares. He'll need to be far more measured this time out because Till isn't the easiest to put away. How I see this fight playing out, I think Till, being a great sniper, he wants to keep it at his range and work from the outside, while Dricus will be looking to crash the pocket and put hammers on him. Man, I just think that some guys thrive in a dogfight, and that's Dricus du Plessis, whereas Till is the kind of guy who thrives more in a chess match. I see du Plessis making this fight uglier eventually, and if he does, I don't think Till will be able to hang with his power in a firefight. I think Till can win this fight under the right conditions, but I just see du Plessis pressing the action and pretty much forcing that fight on his terms. If he can be a little bit patient here and choose his explosions at the right time, he should be able to stop Darren Till at some point. Give me Dricus du Plessis here. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Alex Morono up. Alex Morono is stepping up to take on Ponzinibbio here on very short notice. Alex is a guy who likes to rely on a cardio advantage to outwork guys with his volume and pace over the course of 3 rounds, so I'm not sure what kind of shape he's in or if that's going to affect him coming in here on 5 days notice to get into an all-action war with Santiago Ponzinibbio. Morono has sound boxing technique. He's always on the ball of the feet, utilizing good movement. He has a nice right hand, and he's got a nasty check left hook. The opponent, Santiago Ponzinibbio, I've covered before, and he's still that scrappy old dog who's never out of a fist fight. Ponzinibbio is at home in a brawl. He's got good power in his hands, nice low kicks that he can use to slow down the constant movement of Morono, and he's a decent grappler with some okay scrambling ability too. I can't be overly confident in the side here when this fight between seasoned veterans is being put together on such late notice, but I like that Ponzinibbio is the one who has at least been preparing for the date, and I think this being at a catch weight benefits him more. Also, Morono mostly sticks with the hands on the feet, which I think plays into Ponzinibbio's favor, being the bigger power puncher. And even when Alex Morono does kick, he tends to leave his head on the center line, which could end up being a big problem for him against the heavy hitter right here. Not a high confidence spot at all, but I'll take Santiago Ponzinibbio to get the job done this time. In the co-main event, it's Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon, and you know, I did a little tape study for this one, but you really don't need too much research to know that Jared Gordon doesn't have very many ways to win this fight. Gordon's a serviceable enough striker with decent wrestling, solid grappling, and good cardio. My problem with him here, though, is that he's a bit slow on the feet and he doesn't have the best chin, so he's going to want to get Pimblett down. I think the best thing Gordon can hope for is to get on top and just get some positional control time, maybe work some ground and pound to a decision. The issue there is when you're trying to get Paddy to the floor, man, that's right in his wheelhouse. Pimblett's an exceptional grappler who spent many years perfecting that craft. On the feet, he's a whirlwind. Not much technique, but he's got great power, steady pressure, and he keeps a good pace. Paddy's always looking to get the finish, so if it hits the scorecards, I think Jared would stand a better chance. However, I just think the likelihood of this fight going the distance is just not very strong. Slim to none chance that this one goes to the scorecards, I think. So I'll take Paddy Pimblett to keep the momentum rolling here. Main event, vacant light heavyweight championship of the world is on the line. Jan Błachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. This is a battle between two guys who both have excellent vision. Błachowicz sees and attacks openings very well. He's a bit plodding on the feet, but his defense to offense is outstanding. Magomed Ankalaev is a Russian sharpshooter. He's got tremendous movement, fast hands, and great fight IQ. Now, I see it going one of two ways. Either Jan catches Ankalaev early with that patented left hook and knocks him out, or Magomed Ankalaev steers it into the later rounds, controlling the action. Jan likes to swing wide, so Ankalaev should just shoot straight and he might even get him out of there. Speed advantage to Magomed, technical advantage to Magomed, and a nice grappling ace up the sleeve as well. Yeah, give me Magomed Ankalaev. And if you made it this far, guys, massive shout out to you. Be sure to check out the big homie Just My 2 Cents doing his thing over on his channel, Just My 2 Cents on YouTube. And as always, subscribe to Mr. Arkansas on YouTube for the craziest live streams and the very best MMA prediction competitions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.